Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back with another video. In this video today, we're doing the Week 16 football picks, prediction, discussion, talk, hot air, that whole thing. So like I said, it's Week 16. We've only got Week 17 after this. So we're getting, of course, the playoffs are after that. So we're really getting down to the wire here. It's really, it's crunch time for a lot of teams. And as we sort of see, what the playoff picture is going to look like, it gets interesting at this time of year. So the thinking is, or the NFL's thinking, which we know, isn't always, up to snuff, is that these last couple of, weeks of the season, it's all divisional games, so it's teams and, playing other teams in their division. Because the thinking is, well, they're fighting for playoff seeding and all that, which really never works. I mean, maybe you could make the case the AFC West, they're, the Chiefs and the Raiders are kind of fighting for that top spot there. But every other division, there's like the one or two maybe good teams, and the rest kind of suck. So it really kind of doesn't always work out. But I guess for some divisions, it kind of makes for interesting matchups. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the first game up is tomorrow night. It's the Thursday night game. It's the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's going to be at Lincoln Financial Field, none other than Lincoln Financial Field. So the Giants and the Eagles, obviously both NFC East teams. The last time they played each other was in Week 9. The Giants won 28-23. It was obviously a relatively close matchup there, not a blowout by any stretch. I've got the Giants winning this game simply because the thing about the Giants, if you think about the Giants, like they just kind of disappear for a few years and then they make a Super Bowl run. Like, you know what I mean? Like they got, Eli Manning was drafted in 2004, and then 2007 they went to that Super Bowl. We all know what happened then. Then they disappear until 2012. They go to another Super Bowl. And, between then and now, they've really not done a whole lot. They haven't really, been that, successful. And now all of a sudden they're making a Super Bowl run again. Like it's just kind of, it's all or nothing with this team here. And, I guess that works out for them. Like I said, I got the Giants here just because they're fighting, for playoff positioning here. This is kind of a case where it really does matter. As far as the seeding is concerned, obviously the Cowboys are going to, I think they've already locked up the number one seed. I'm not sure if in the NFC or just in their division. I'm not sure yet. I know the Seahawks are number 2. But I mean, that's kind of all but over anyways. The Giants here, they're kind of fighting for every win they can get. The Eagles, on the other hand, don't have a lot to play for at this point. I think, just kind of overall, if you take like what do they call, like a 30,000 foot view, I think that the Eagles have a lot to build on, from this season going into next season. I mean, if you think about the kind of the stretch the Eagles have had here, not very successful. Now they have, Carson Wentz and, Doug Peterson, obviously. And it seems like, especially at the beginning of the season, coming out 3-0, blowing out the Steelers, it seems like, they were kind of, set up to have quite the run this season. It didn't, necessarily happen. But they have some things to feel good about, I think. But, as far as this matchup's concerned, I think the Giants obviously have a lot on the line. So I've got the Giants winning this game. Next game up here, Miami. Oh, God. Well, actually, no. This is actually pretty good now that I think about it. Miami Dolphins. This is the game we just talked about. The Giants and the Eagles was the Thursday night game. So these are all the Christmas Eve games. So these are the Saturday games. Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. So this is a case where it's just kind of like whose willpower is stronger. Rex Ryan is coaching for his job, whereas Miami's playing for, a playoff spot here. So it's just kind of who can sort of will their team to play better. And the Dolphins, on the other hand, really came out of nowhere this year. I mean, they're, I'm not sure if the playoffs ended today, if they'd be in I'm not sure if they're in the hunt or if they're in the wild card. It's really close. I haven't checked the playoff picture, today. But I know it's like they're right there. So I think if they win this game, I think they will be in the playoffs. But it's just kind of like whose willpower is stronger. Is it just I want to keep my job or I want to get into the postseason here? That's kind of what's on the line in this game. I got Miami. Well, just Miami's a stronger team. I mean, it's going to be a close game. You could certainly make the case Buffalo is going to win this game. I just think that Miami's just a bit more talented. I think Matt Moore. Where did he come from? It was phenomenal. Then it's the Dolphins, so I'm not going to get carried away here. I mean, he's not freaking, Joe Montana. But just for a backup quarterback, just kind of getting, thrusted into the spotlight there, if you want to call it that, did pretty well. I just think Miami is just kind of a more talented team that kind of got their act together this season. So I've got Miami winning. It'll be a close game, though. So that is that. Next game up, Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. I have a bone to pick with the Atlanta Falcons, and then it's that simply the NFL, the media and everybody, they play favorites for sure. And I feel like the Atlanta Falcons are a great team that nobody talks about. You know what I mean? Like, it's always, when you think of the NFC, the media, they just, it's all about the Cowboys, the Giants, and, as far as this season's concerned, and the Seahawks. And then in the AFC, it's, the Patriots, the Denver, the Steelers. And I feel like the Falcons are putting up, a good performance. I mean, they've had a pretty good season here. And it's like, you don't really hear about them. You know what I mean? It's like you'd think that, like for instance, if I go on, I'll just go on right now. I'll go on NFL.com here. I guarantee you, I mean, I haven't looked at it, just now, but I guarantee if I go on here, it's going to be, either the Cowboys or the Giants. That's what they love to talk about. And there it is. It's the headline is Dak Prescott top 10 plays of 2016. It's a video you can watch. So, I mean, we all know they play favorites, but I feel like the Falcons, it's like somebody should be talking about them. You know what I mean? It's just it seems like they've been doing all right this season. So, I mean, I guess that's that. Carolina Panthers, on the other hand, really don't have much to play for at this point. They are a perfectly flawed team. I mean, Cam Newton, I guess the best way I could describe it is they're kind of a vestige of what they were last season. So you can see how some of the pieces are there, but they're just missing, what it takes to be a successful team. I mean, they're just kind of, I don't know. Anyways, I got the Falcons winning this game. They're a better team. Next game up, Washington Redskins, Chicago Bears. It's in Chicago. I mean, I haven't checked the weather, but I assume it's going to be like 2 degrees because it's always freezing at Soldier Field this time of the year. I got the Redskins winning this game. If I just want to look at the last few matchups between these two teams. Last game was last year, week 14, and the Redskins won 24-21. Last time they played, you go back to 2013, the Redskins won 45-41. So there is a bit of not as close as I would have thought. Like, I haven't, obviously memorized the history between every team, but I would have thought that, the Bears have not been good these last few years here. So anyways, I got the Redskins winning. They're a more talented team, for sure here. Next game up, we've got San Diego Chargers at the... Oh, my God, get the hell out of here. We got the Chargers at the Browns. I got the Chargers winning this game, of course. Just to talk about the Chargers for a minute here, that was kind of a... I don't want to say sad, but the game they had against the Raiders last week, I did watch that one. It was a good game. I think the Chargers kind of gave it everything they had. But I don't know. I feel like the Chargers, there's potential there. You know what I mean? Like, if the hierarchy of their division of the AFC West wasn't so overbearing, like if they weren't so good, you know what I mean? Like if they didn't have to play the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Raiders, that's the other team I was missing. If they didn't have to play them twice, they'd have a better record. And the Chargers have lost so many close games this season, like literally a few points, and they would have a much better record. And if you just kind of add on a point here or there in any of these games. So they have potential for sure. You know what I mean? It's just that this season, just because their division's so good and, really kind of luck of the draw. I mean, I guess it comes down to that. They haven't achieved as much as I think they have the potential for. But they're playing the Cleveland Browns here, so as far as this game's concerned, San Diego's going to win. I feel like who's Cleveland playing their last game of the year here? I'm not. Can I pull that up? So I have this app that I use for this. It just kind of shows the schedule. I mean, I think it's the NFL app. You can kind of watch videos with it, but I haven't figured out how to do that. I just kind of look at the schedule here. Anyways, I mean, I feel like Cleveland could win their last game. I don't know who it's against, but that would be a damn good story. Not a good story, but just kind of go out on a high note, I guess you could say. I don't know who that game's against. I got to figure it out now. I mean, I kind of got to check who it is. I mean, watch something like the Steelers or something. Some impossible matchup here. I'll see Browns. What do we got? They are playing Week 17. Go. It is the Steelers. I had no idea. That was just I took that out of just kind of out of the ether there. I just kind of said Steelers. I had no idea they were actually playing the Steelers in Week 17. So I guess that's probably not going to happen now. But how interesting that would be. Next game up, Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. So Green Bay said a few weeks ago, kind of when they hit rock bottom there, that we think we can run the table and finish. I think if they win every last game, they'll finish 10-6 and make the playoffs. he basically said if we win every last game and all the remaining games, we can finish 10-6, make the playoffs. And so far, they're on track to do that. They've haven't lost since then. And I'm not going to put a I mean, 2 more games here to do that. So I mean, I think they're going to pull it off. Minnesota, on the other hand, what an inconsistent team. I mean, you might not remember this, but there was a time this season up until, when did they lose? Was it like week 5 that Minnesota lost, or like week 6? I don't know. It was in there. It's around that time where Minnesota was undefeated. I mean, everybody thought, oh, Minnesota, look at this great team. Teddy Bridgewater comes down, Sam Bradford comes in. They're undefeated. They were the marvel of football. Number 1 in the power rankings for weeks and weeks. And now I don't even know where they are now, but they are certainly not at the top. I mean, they fell off for sure. But you should just remember that there was a time where they were number 1. That happened this season. What a weird season this has been. I got the Packers winning this game. This was just too inconsistent. I'm not going to put it past the Packers to sort of finish off, run on the table here. Next game up, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars. They just got rid of their head coach. They got Tennessee winning this game. Next game, get the heck out of here. The New York Jets at New England. I mean, well, actually, you know what? No, I should backtrack there. Of course, I think the point spread for this game is, I think it's literally like 17 points. And if you know how, odds works and how, Vegas works, that's unbelievable. That's like an unbelievable point spread. It's never that big. But when you got the Jets who are starting Bryce Petty, who just have had an abominable season, and you've had, I guess New England on the other hand, who is having, I think they're going to finish, 14-2 or something. They're having a great season for sure. Of course, that just screams blowout. However, if you remember last week, I talked about how with the Rams and the Seahawks, I think the Rams have beaten the Seahawks more often than not. They just seem to have their number whenever they play. I don't think that was the case when they, the most recent time that they played. But it seems like, and of course, the Rams and the Seahawks are both in the NFC West, and the New York Jets and the New England Patriots are both in the AFC East. So when you're, in the same division, you play each other twice a year. You play each other a lot. You get used to what the other team's about, what they do, and sort of that whole thing. So you kind of tend to see that within divisions sometimes. In the way that is with the Rams and the Seahawks, I think it's the same way between the Jets and the Patriots. I mean, I'm not an expert on, the times these teams have played each other. But from what I do remember, it seems like, especially from the time, let me pull it up here. The last time they played each other in week 12, the Patriots won 22-17. I remember it was kind of like it's always closer than you'd think for some reason. It's kind of like the Jets, and I really think it's because of the Jets think, oh man, this team we're going to put, we're never going to win. We got to really, kind of, empty the bucket here, try to give this one everything we have just so we don't get embarrassed. And the other team, on the other hand, so in this case, the Patriots thinks, oh, this team's a joke. We're not even going to, rest our starters or, whatever. We're going to roll over this team. And so as a result, I think it's kind of always closer than it should be or than you'd expect. And if I, just go through the last couple matchups between this team or these two teams, week 12, Patriots won 22-17, like I said. Last year, week 16, the Jets won 26-20, and the last time they played before that was week 7, 2015, where the Patriots won 30-23. So you can see here, just not so much that it's close, it's just that I think the Patriots just kind of have problems against this team. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was the Patriots, but the Jets played, I think it was 2011. Because if it was the postseason, it's like the beginning of the year after the year you started. So it was January of 11, which means it was the 2010 season. I think it was, I'm getting mixed up. It was either the Jets and the Steelers or the Jets and the Patriots. I think it was, can I check? Hold on a second. See if we have that here. Yeah, it was the Jets and the Patriots played. The Jets beat the Patriots in 2010 in the playoffs there. So it's just a matter of they just kind of have their number sometimes. I mean, of course, I've got the Patriots winning this game. The Jets are a disaster. But it's not going to be, I don't think there'll be a 17-point differential here. I really don't think that's going to happen. Just because for some reason these two teams play each other and it's always closer than it ought to be. Next game up, these are still the Christmas Eve games. Indianapolis Colts at the Oakland Raiders. So I'm pretty sure everybody in the world is going to say, "Oh, the Oakland Raiders, they're going to, they're going to roll over this team." Of course, they're going to beat the Colts. I guess you're going to have to call this the upset of the week. I've got the Colts winning this game just because of kind of the phenomenon I described before, where like a team thinks, "Oh, we're so much better than them, we're not even going to try," and the other team thinks, "If we don't give this everything we've got, we're going to get blown out and embarrassed." And I feel like that could happen here with the Raiders. I'd also combine that with the fact that the Raiders, the way they win this season, I'm not going to say it's inconsistent because they're the number 2 seed. They've had a pretty damn good season considering the fact they haven't been to the playoffs in 14 years. No, not 12 years. 12 years since 2002. Wait a minute. No, that's 14 years. I'm sorry. I'm bad at math today. Just the drought that's there. You kind of don't want to put anything past them when they're having a season that's as good as the season that they're having right now. However, with that being said, I feel like just that inconsistency, the fact that they're not used to being where they are. I mean, it's literally been 14 seasons, that they haven't had this level of success. And the Colts, on the other hand, obviously, not having a very strong season this year, kind of like last year. But the way the Raiders have kind of won games is they either come out behind 20 points and come back and win, or they'll come out and put like 20 points on the board, blow the lead, fall behind by like 10 or 14 or 7 or whatever, and then come back and win the game. Like it's a very risky way to play. And of course they don't, that's not the strategy. It just kind of seems like that's what happens every week. And I just feel like, I don't know, I'm just feeling the Colts this week. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like one of these times that's not going to go right, and maybe it's going to be this week here. So that's, kind of highly unlikely, but, there it is. Next game up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, I don't want to say my knee-jerk reaction, the first phrase that came to mind was the phrase unsung hero, which kind of refers to just like a strong contributor to a team or some sort of effort. That sounds like a dictionary definition. But I guess what I'm saying is that the New Orleans Saints have had a strong season, but you never know it because they haven't, their record isn't, tremendous. But at the same time, like they put up 40 points almost every week. Like every time I see, whatever the Saints did or whatever, however they fared week by week, it's always like 41 points, 45 points, 38. Very high scoring team. I don't know what it is with them. They just kind of, I guess you could say, Drew Brees is a gunslinger. You can kind of make whatever argument you want. It just seems like every time I hear about this team, they're putting up, like 40 points every week. And so sort of like in that respect, I feel like I haven't heard enough about them because it's kind of an achievement. Now, obviously, they haven't won every game. And kind of on the other hand, this week, Tampa Bay is having a damn good season. Tampa Bay is good. I got to say, I mean, they didn't have what it takes against the Cowboys, recently, but obviously the Cowboys are the number 1 seed for a reason. However, Jameis Winston in that game, he was shooting missiles. I mean, if you watched some of the throws, they were all just friggin' bullets this kid was throwing in. They were completing all of them. I mean, he took that team right down the field. They were having a good season, and I feel like just kind of Tampa Bay's a little bit more consistent. It just seems like they kind of have the talent. They can kind of crank it out, when they want. They kind of have that X factor, if you know what I mean. Next game up here, San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams. So at this point, LA Rams fired their head coach. The 49ers are in the bottom of the league. They're really just kind of competing to see who can get the top, draft pick at this point. I mean, it's really just kind of one of those seasons. Is at the end of the season, and kind of for both of these teams, it's just kind of the same, sad story here. So there's not a whole lot to build on. It's just kind of, especially for the 49ers, you just kind of look at, the draft order. It's just kind of they're playing for draft positioning at this point, which is obviously not a very constructive thing, I guess you could say. I've got I just want to know, like, just kind of what's the history is here. Okay, so in week 1, the 49ers, I was going to say I had the 49ers, but beat them 28-0. Last year, week 17, 49ers beat the Rams 19-16. That was kind of a, different, even though it was a year ago. I mean, what a different world we live in today. I mean, what a difference, football-wise, politics, just everything. It's just, that seems like it was so long ago. But for these two teams, especially, then they have Chip Kelly this year, and they didn't have him last year. There's differences there. I just feel like, San Francisco, it just seems like they could beat the Rams. I don't know. It's like if I saw, it's the 49ers and the Rams, I don't know. I just kind of picked the Rams, not the Rams, I'm sorry, the 49ers. I don't know. I guess the record kind of supports that. Unless you go back to Week 8 of 2015, the Rams did have San Francisco's number, beating them 27-6. But yeah, no, I got San Francisco. Next game up, we've got the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. I've got Seattle winning this game. Playoff positioning is on the line here, which, Seattle's the kind of team that shows up in that spot. Postseason, the record's on the line. I wouldn't put anything past Seattle. Also, given the fact that Arizona is having one heck of a disappointing season. I mean, this is, and I've said it a lot of times before, coming into the season, everybody thought, Steelers, Cardinals, Super Bowl. It was just, it was almost a lock. Like, people thought, of course, that's what it's going to be. And the Cardinals, it turns out, kind of got exposed here, are not as good as everyone said. So anyways, I've got, kind of combine those two things. I've got the Seahawks here. Next game up here, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Houston Texans. Wait a minute here. Bengals in the AFC North, and the Texans are in the AFC South. So that's like one of the only inter-division matchups this week. That's interesting. I've got the Texans winning this game, and we'll talk about the Tom Savage business in a minute here. Just because of how weak the AFC South is, the Texans kind of make it to the playoffs by default, and they kind of lose in the first round there. But they got something to play for, whereas the Bengals do not. And the Bengals, what a kind of a disappointing season for them. Not kind of, I mean, it is. So the big story with Houston, Brock Osweiler benched, Tom Savage is starting. That kid can play. I mean, obviously, he played a game there. He kind of came in for Osweiler, and wow, I mean, he's, I don't know who it is that's in charge of evaluating, quarterback. I mean, I guess the coach just deciding who's gonna start. But man, did they overlook this kid? I mean, Osweiler. I mean, can you compare the two of them? I mean, this kid's pretty good. Especially, last week against the Jaguars. I mean, he was having a good game. I mean, I don't know how they didn't see that. I don't know why it got it took till like week 15 to figure this out. But hey, what are you gonna do? So there he is. Tom Savage is starting for the Texans. Next game out, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. That's always a brawl. That's the best word to describe. It's not, it's a good game. It's a good match. No, it's a friggin' jailhouse brawl. I mean, this game here, just rough. That's how I describe it, especially Baltimore. Baltimore plays rough. It's not so much the talent. It is the coaching. They are kind of well coached. Well, that play where the fake punt safety, like the intentional safety that Baltimore took a few weeks ago, kind of holding everybody on purpose. That's kind of dirty. Harbaugh, kind of complains a lot, and he's just gonna, you can either, depending on your persuasion on that, that's either good coaching or just kind of a pain in the ass. But they are well coached, and they play. It's not so much that they play well; they just play rough. Like, this is the type of team that just kind of ticks people out. Steelers, on the other hand, like the Steelers always do. They get to this point in the season, and, because the Steelers have not had a very strong season up until now. Roethlisberger was injured. But now all of a sudden, they're back. Le'Veon Bell is from a friggin' different planet. I mean, he is really, watch out for him. I mean, he is really turning it on. I mean, the way he jukes, it's so smooth. I love watching it. It's just so, just making guys miss that whole, that whole thing. And he is he is unbelievable. He is, I don't know how you stop him. I mean, it's not so much a power runner like, I was going to say Marshawn Lynch, but he's retired. I guess the modern equivalent is, I don't know, like Garrett Blunt. I don't know. I mean, that's probably not the best example. Just somebody who's stocky, not LaShawn McCoy. I guess the other example is LaShawn McCoy, who's also, damn good. But he's just quick. Like, I'm talking about a power back. Le'Veon Bell is kind of, I don't want to say hybrid, but kind of, he's got the strength, but he also is he can be quick and elusive. He can kind of be whatever he needs to be, and he's got the hands, of course. He can catch, he can dink and dunk, make guys miss, and he's got the strength. If he wants to drop a shoulder, he can do it. So just watch out for Pittsburgh. I mean, they're always a scary team just because of their record. 6 Super Bowls, friggin', I could go down the list and tell you all the Hall of Famers they had. But, you watch out. I mean, they're turning it on at the right time here, so watch out for the Steelers. I've got the Steelers winning this game just because they're, of course, they're playing for a playoff spot here, and that, we kind of know what that can do to your team to get you ready to go. Next game up, this is game of the week. This is going to be the game of the week right here. This will be in the video. I'll do this one for the video. Denver Broncos at Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, with their last, let's just talk about this for a second. So Andy Reid, who of course is just how would you describe that? Just a bastion of good coaching decisions. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. Like the friggin', clock management issues, just all the things he's kind of known. His snacks. I guess he likes to. It's clearly somebody who does not eat. If you go to the Cheesecake Factory, he's not eating off the Skinnylicious menu. You can just kind of, I think that everybody knows that. But that's kind of personal. Just from a coaching perspective, not somebody who has a reputation for making the wisest calls during games. End of this game, Kansas City. Last week, they got the game wrapped up. The game's, they're winning. They're ahead, right? They're gonna win. They're gonna close this thing out, right? Other team comes down, gets ready to kick the field goal, right? And of course, like any coach, because I think it was a 1-point difference at that point. So if the other team, if they make the field goal, you lose by 2. So, like most coaches, or not, maybe, I guess it's kind of a matter of just what your persuasion is on icing the kicker. Andy Reid calls the timeout, but, of course he calls it the last second, so the kicker follows through, makes the kick. And he misses the kick. Not enough leg on it. Misses, right? But, so the Chiefs would win. But because Andy Reid called this timeout and tried to ice the kicker, he's got to kick it again. Now, when you want to ice the kicker, you want him to make it the first time, then he gets, kind of thrown off by having to do it again, and, then misses the second time. Other way around this time. He misses the first time, and then makes it the second time, and the Chiefs lose. I mean, that's just that's so Andy Reid. And that is a Andy Reid thing to do. Denver, on the other hand, I got to say it, I think that this is kind of how good teams fall apart and kind of end up in the weeds for a long time. Because I heard all the stories coming out of Denver were that after their loss to, it was the Patriots in Denver, there was a fight in the locker room between, I believe it was Aqib Talib and Russell Okung, I think. So obviously the offensive line, which is a friggin', turnstile out there in Denver, and the defense, because Denver's defense can win the game almost. That's kind of what's going on. Denver's defense is one of the best of all time. I guess, it's up there. It's, modern, from a, modern perspective, kind of with, the Legion of Boom, the Earl Thomas, Chancellor, Sherman, Seattle, they have a shutdown crew. But Denver, their pass rush, Von Miller, friggin', just everybody on that defense, Aqib Talib, everybody. It is and I think Wade Phillips especially, got to give him a lot of credit, just the way he coaches. He can, mess with the formations. That defense is scary. I mean, they have a scary ass defense. Offense, not the same thing. Their offense is bad. It is bad. I mean, they have since C.J. Anderson went out, they have no run game. The offensive line is bad. I mean, so when you have no run game, you're one-dimensional and you have to pass. So when the other team knows you have to pass and you can't really run, they can play, the appropriate coverage. And as a result, it takes longer. Your quarterback needs more time to get the, to be able to get the pass off. And when you're one-dimensional like that and your offensive line is also trash, he doesn't have that time. So, Trevor Siemian is getting put on his ass a lot out there. So their offense was held to, I think, 3 points. And that's going to happen again this week, I'm afraid. That is going to happen because, the Chiefs, friggin' Houston there, Tamba Ali, Andy Reid. You can say what you want about Andy Reid. He can get his guys ready to play. He can get his team fired up. Especially against, a divisional common opponent, the Denver Broncos. It's going to be a low-scoring game just because of, Denver's offense is bad, but their defense will, take you out. Denver just doesn't have the production to kind of compete here. And just to clarify, when I was talking about the fight in the locker room earlier, it was just kind of the defense was mad at the offense for, because they can't pull their own weight. I guess that's kind of what it was about. And I don't blame them because that's kind of true. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football. Monday night. Okay, I thought this last game was it. No, so the last game, Denver and Kansas City, was Sunday Night Football. Christmas night. That'll be what Christmas we're gonna have, huh? But the Monday Night Football, so the 26th, Detroit Lions at Dallas Cowboys. Huge. Well, maybe not that huge, but if there's any other team in the NFC besides the Giants who have the Giants have a lot of teams' numbers, like the Patriots, the Cowboys. Some of these teams, I don't know, they just beat them a lot. And as we saw, the Giants, it's the chemistry, it's the matchups. They just have what it takes to just kind of beat some of these good teams. So outside of the Giants, because of course the Seahawks, and because you could say the Seahawks could beat the Cowboys, but they don't play this season unless they face each other in the postseason. What a game that's going to be. That is going to be a massive game. Huge, tremendous game. Okay, I'd love to see it. I've said that before. It's going to be a great game to watch. Outside of those two teams, I feel like Detroit could kind of challenge Dallas. Matt Stafford's, this is Matthew. I guess we're going to be real formal with him. That's kind of how people, refer to him. Matthew Stafford. Okay, that sounds odd. It's like if I said Benjamin Roethlisberger. Very, very odd. Very formal. I don't know. I got Detroit. I got Detroit winning this week. It just seems like outside of the two Giants games, Dallas hasn't really had to. They haven't really been. What's the word for it? They haven't been kind of shaken. I feel like Detroit could kind of ruffle their feathers. It is in Dallas at AT&T. What a beautiful stadium that is. I mean, between that and the Viking Stadium, it's two great stadiums, gorgeous. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's that chemistry that there is between the Giants and the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like there's just that. It just seems Detroit seems like the type of team that kind of has what it takes to sort of challenge Dak Prescott, who, as we've seen in the two Giants games, and really before this last Giants game, was kind of cooling down before then. It kind of seems like he can be stopped. So yeah, I feel like Detroit. I got Detroit. I feel like they're gonna win this game. So all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and sort of thing. Up next will be as far as this series is concerned, the next will be Week 17, and then it's playoff time, which is going to be good because there'll be much less teams to talk about, and we can really kind of focus in on the juicy stuff. You know what I mean? Like the real stuff, the real matchups there, the real McCoy. No pun intended, of course. Of course, I'm talking about LaShawn McCoy. Other than that, that was a shitty pun. I'm sorry, that was not my finest hour. So as far as videos are concerned, up next is going to be GTA 5 Military Patrol. It is back, and this Military Patrol, get ready for this one. I've got some special stuff saved up for this one. I've kind of been hyping it. I've never officially said it was a military. I think I replied to somebody's comment on a video and just said, "Yep, it's coming," just to kind of get the word out. I did tweet about it. This one's gonna be pretty good. You're gonna want to tune in for this one. But other than that, until next time, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching.